All right.
You ready?
Yep, ready.
Go.
Okay. Good morning, guys. Hello, everybody. We're Team Clifford, and we're here to present to you a unique solution to the dog feeder situation, where the client requires a solution to help the dog companion. All right. Let's begin. So we first started this project by looking at the problem statement, obviously, the requirements, and we broke it down into one simple phrase. And I think this is the most key aspect of this, case study. So the client has severe physical disability and struggles to show affection and thank their dog on a day-to-day basis. And that is something that we want to rectify with our solution. So what is our main goal in this whole entire project? Is to try and give back agency to the client and allow them to have regain somewhat control again over their lives, and provide something as simple as just giving love back to their really helpful companion, right? Okay, so let's go into our solution. Before we get into that though, we had to break down the brief into different requirements that we can tackle and deliver a potential solution to this problem. And we found 6 key functional requirements that we can tackle in this whole project. All right, let's go through them real quick. The first one is that the treat dispenser must be adaptable to any kind of wheelchair that we're dealing with, convenient and robust so that it can survive its lifetime, right? The second functional requirement is that it needs to have a minimum dispenser capacity. So this is 15 treats, but more is better, and have precision control over how many treats you can deliver each time. So again, kind of go with the theme of control back to the patient there. Functional requirement, number 3 is that it needs to also have a tray system for the dog to feed off from, right? And this tray system should be compact, durable, and convenient for the client to put in and out on the wheelchair as well, and easily mounted on a variety of different wheelchairs. Okay, the fourth key one is a dynamic range of automated inputs. So we did mention before that our patient and our client probably has severe disabilities. We don't know which, so to cater for a wider range of audiences, we want to have a variety of inputs as well in order for them to use all options that they have in order to interact with the device. For the final 2 functional requirements, I'll put them together. I'll talk about them together because they're kind of just add-ons and bonuses to help the experience become more fluid, which is waterproofing of the device to prevent it from jamming in terms of the dog treats, and also to operate under minimal noises to prevent the dog from associating noise of the device with getting treat. All right, so what is our solution? So here's a pretty catalog picture of a render solution, not very helpful, but let's break it down into its various components and then talk about them. All right, so our device has 5 main components, 3 of which is just the inputs. So let's talk about the first 3, speech recognition, visual recognition, and a tactile button for the client to interact with. And I guess it's pretty self-explanatory what they do, but we will go into detail and the nitty-gritty a bit later. The fourth part of our device is the treat and storage dispenser. So in summary, we wanted to make something that is easily cleanable, durable, and operates well most of the time, right? And that's the dispenser, compact. And the final component is the treat tray, which we have also strategically placed in a position where the client can have a close relationship with their companion dog whilst giving the treat out. So, it's more like a emotional thing. All right, so that's a summary of our device. Let's go into the technicalities, and I'll hand it over to Derek to talk about all that. Yep.
So
Here we go.
We recognize that many wheelchair users might have a variety of different conditions. Maybe they are unable to use their hands on their feet, or maybe they can't see, or they can't even vocalize. So we've decided to have 3 main different input modalities. So the first one is being visual. So we've used implemented eye tracking software that uses a camera module to detect blinking. So when they blink, a multiple times in succession, it triggers an action, which will be treat dispensing. And we also implemented an speech recognition software, which would demonstrate later on as well, that when certain keywords are spoken, it will activate treats or dispense treats, so that people who can't actually move their hands can actually have another form of input. And tactile buttons. So these can be many different activations. Could be just a press, twist, even biting. It depends on our client or our user. And this could be also placed in multiple different areas. So for people with no mobility from the neck down, sometimes they use their heads to press buttons. So we could also have, so we also have a soft caps for users that might use their heads to like try and press something. And it also obviously dispenses treats on activation. And for our treat delivery system, so we have a controlled treat dispensing mechanism that would dispense either one or a few at a time, depending on the size of the treats. But with the one that was given, it should only dispense one at a time. And it's sealed in a PVC vinyl tubing, or PVC tube, which is waterproof. And it's also got a minimal width, so that it's actually not further than the wheel of the wheelchair, so it doesn't actually add any width to, so it reduces the obstruction for wheelchair users. And the tray is positioned in such a way that users can see the dog enjoying the treats, and it's just a nice thing to do. Yeah. And for mounting, so how are we going to actually mount the system? So we recognize that with many different wheelchair systems, there might be handles or bars or some things missing. But two things that we found were consistent were that all the wheelchairs had armrests and backrests. So we'll have a 2-point contact where we'll use fabric belt fastening systems to try and fasten them. So we'll have one point will be at the armrest, and the second will be at the backrest. And it'll be and the PVC tubing is sort of conforms to the shape of the wheelchair, so that it doesn't try and restrict any movement. And it's also friction fit, so that it'll apply to most wheelchair designs. So for our material choice, we first thought about high density polyethylene as a potential material, but it's usually bulk produced, and it's quite expensive if you're only going to be producing something like only a few units. So we've opted out to use 3D printing dental resin, which is just as good, just durable and waterproof, and also breathe safe. And so is the PVC tubing. And I think we're now going to go into demonstrations of our like visual and speech recognition systems. So for the visual recognition systems, I think we've hooked up a Raspberry Pi.
Let's make a big screen.
Yeah. And it'll detect the eyes when you look into it. So when you look at it, you should be able to see like green lines highlighting your eyes. Does anyone want to sit in it?
Maybe one of the judges?
Oh no, we had a hands up.
Oh, okay, no.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, do we have the M&Ms?
Yeah.
Where?
Oh, M&Ms?
Yeah. So we're just getting the dog treats.
This is delay.
Sweet. Awesome. Thank you. Check it in.
Okay.
Just turn it on now. So if you test that now, it should work.
You start blinking.
Just to explain, the mechanical mechanism for our dog treat dispenser right now is off the chair, because we haven't figured out how to like minimize its size and all that. But right now it is over there, and it's hooked up with this system wirelessly.
treats?
We need the actual treats.
Oh.
Does anyone want to volunteer
You are not,
to eat some M&Ms?
you are not blinking well.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Right.
Yeah. Go.
Too deep in. Okay, cool.
Do you want to explain the mechanism?
We have a video for that. Do you want to
Yeah, we can
bring it up?
go to
It's all right.
Yeah.
Just to explain the mechanism, because you can't really see it with all this duct tape.
It's all boxed up and hidden.
Yep, it's a little hidden. We'll have a look. Did you download it or no?
I did download it actually.
You did?
It
All right,
should be in the
whereabouts?
photo.
All right, photo. Yeah.
And then is there like a
Treat
video?
simulation. Let's do it. All right. Cool. So that's the idea. It's like a trigger. So we want to load a whole bunch of treats onto a stack, and then it should fall in, and then reset, and then kind of like the magazine of a gun, for example. Yeah, I guess. Manually set it off. Wait. There we go. That was how it worked. Okay, cool.
And so the treat would then fall into the little ramp, and then it would slide down, and then the dog would be able to just stick its snout in, just grab the treat. Yeah. So.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Wait. That's it for the demo.
Wait, we still have a couple of things. So in terms of
Okay.
mounting the pipe.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So this is our storage mechanism. We decided that the best way to actually store all the treats is just in a single column. That way, it's easily gravity fed, and it's already sorted to be one stack where it's only one treat at a certain height. The way we wanted to mount it to the chair is that, as we said, we looked at like 30, 50 different wheelchairs, and basically wheelchairs are common from about this level up. Below, you can have 2 wheels, 6 wheels, 3 wheels, yeah, bars everywhere. It's not consistent. So we decided the only things we can work with is the armrest and the back. So the way we wanted to mount it is using the armrest as one of the points of contact. We would strap the dispenser to it, and the dispenser would have the top of the tube, well, the bottom of the tube, and the rest of the tube is going to be streamlined against the back of the chair by
Where's that
another
switch?
fastener across the seat.
Yeah. So that way we can actually have a lot of treats already stored, and it would minimize space. That was our goal. When we give these out to the customers, we're intending to give them a full length tube so that they can customize it according to their own wheelchair. And of course, because it's just a tube, you can cut it.
You
to
can cut it with
whatever.
spare scissors.
Yeah. So that it's customizable to themselves. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay, question.
Questions?
1 second.
Yeah.
Do we have the speech recognition? What?
Should we just show the video of it? Because
I've got a question.
It's cool,
if I
yeah.
can jump in.
Quickie.
Yes.
Okay, the tube's full. Now, if the person is a blinker anyway, do you know what I mean? Then the dog's going to get very, very large.
Yes.
Or is there a safety device that sort of prevents, you know what I mean? Like if you just keep blinking, that
Yeah.
dog's going to be a happy,
That's why
chubby
we-
dog.
That's why we want to give all 3 options, so you can calibrate it
Oh,
to turn
okay.
off a certain option or like.
Yep.
So we didn't demonstrate the voice recognition, but we have that software already inbuilt as well. Right now it's calibrated to the word treat, but you can put it to different other sounds. If, for example, you couldn't speak English or you spoke another language or something, yeah, if you happen to have like blinking twitches or something,
Yeah,
ticks,
yeah.
you would probably go over to the tactile button or voice recognition.
Cool.
That's why it's called Blink Speak Treat.
Yeah.
How are you guys communicating from the Raspberry Pi to that stuff over there?
at the moment it's just over Bluetooth, but I think for a final model we'd probably have it be wired so that there's not extra battery consumption.
What is it that's talking with the Bluetooth? Is it just
It's just the Arduino.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in the final production, you could have this all with a single system.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one of the main practical issues was that the treats themselves, they're actually not the same size.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that with?
Yeah. I think what we were intending is also to have different size tubes, and so then it would allow different forms to be in there, and you could have like, the overall width of the tube. It would encompass it. We would also have in this mechanism altering different heights, so that we can cater for those treats. We'd probably have to go into like the different sizings that we would be expecting in like ranges. But yeah.
Another solution proposed was also 3D printed, so like modular inserts that you could add into the dispenser that sort of varied the internal diameter of the treats being fed in.
And and even within a single bag of treats, there can actually be a variation of sizes within that because these are not candies.
Yes,
So,
yes.
so is there a solution to that, or that's just what we have to accept
That's
that?
probably what we have at the moment, but we have looked into other dispensing mechanisms. Some are more rotational rather than trying to slide it in, and that probably would be easier for those kinds of different forms of treats. Yeah.
I could see you could possibly do this with a liquid, couldn't you? You know, if you wanted to, feed the dog and make sure the bowl is full of water,
Yeah.
you could.
Probably.
You just change your little valve.
Mm.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Cool. Thank you.
Have you thought about installation? So, do you require kind of expert installation, or can a family member or a friend install?
I think.
It's meant to be for anyone who can fasten the belt to the different places. The only thing they have to adjust upon like receiving the whole device is maybe the tube height, and then calibrating the settings of like which mode of sensing.
Which could be done through a simple front-end app on your phone, perhaps, or just something intuitive that's easy to adjust and calibrate.
Firstly, I have to say again, congratulations. A terrific effort, a really, nice, diverse way of thinking from a design criteria, the way you thought through all the elements in such a short amount of time, and to present a working prototype. Terrific. I like to sit quietly because the rest of the teams have been involved in this, and we've only just come in this morning. So you understand a lot of the, pros and cons and the challenges associated with this. Knowing that there's a variety of ways to potentially embody what you've presented today, can you see this coming together as more of a smaller module that might attach solely to the actual armrest and utilize some of the thinking you had about cartridge transition and almost make a Pez dispenser?
That was our
being able to
inspiration.
make something a little more compact, and again, the notion of the PVC tube, how it relates to just such a diverse range of chairs out there, terrific. Maybe there's another way though that you could store and manage set dispensing of treats.
Yeah.
Where would you like to take the unit if you had another go as of today? And you don't have to change anything, but in looking back, certainly our experience has always been, if we had another day,
Yeah.
we'd love to do this or something.
I think one of the main things that we really wanted to do was make it a lot more compact. It looks really bulky here. We just really wanted it to get
Totally understandable.
much
But
smaller,
yeah, so compact.
and a little bit more elegant in that way. I think we would have looked a bit more into the fastening and the mounts, and I think that is a big barrier for people who are trying to install it. So we want to make that as simple as possible, because that would give greater incentive for people to use the product. So we would probably be putting more focus on that and trying to find perhaps a more sturdy way to fix things. I think that's my personal opinion in what I would like to continue putting.
And one of the other comments, just from this gentleman here, the idea of liquid, it almost evokes the thought that it could be a solution for a wheelchair, but it might migrate around the home and allow that individual to be able to respond and deliver treats or food,
Small farm.
A small farm,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hobby farm, I think it's great.
But the flexibility of your solution is terrific.
It could even be integrated with something such as smart home technology, such as like the Google Home. So you could have different methods of triggering activation of certain things in their home.
Yeah. There's many applications we'd like to explore with it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I look after a little girl with Rett syndrome, and she would be unable. I'm just thinking, like, if she were, because she's about to get a wheelchair next year, and she's 4 years old. She's like, her arms are moving all the time, so she wouldn't be able to do the tactile sort of thing. She can't speak, she's nonverbal, and also her eyes, she blinks a lot with Rett syndrome. But at the moment, as an OT, I'm working with her at like cause and effect and communicating with eye technology, which at the moment isn't really effective. She's really finding it difficult. But it could almost be another way, like it would be very difficult, and I don't know if it would be appropriate for her, but it also could be a learning opportunity if she could develop those skills in like the cause and effect of blinking. Originally, I feel like the dog would get a lot of treats because she wouldn't be blinking on purpose, but maybe if it was a companion dog and she's getting that love and getting the cause and effect, it might teach her that and then help her with the communication, but then like with the OT other side of things, but then it also could be totally useless as well if she's unable to use that. But of course it depends on the condition that the child has, but in terms of Rett syndrome that I can think of right now, it would, unless she could learn that,
So is the issue that she blinks really, really quickly and often?
Yes, and not on purpose, like
Okay.
no intent.
Are there periods where she would blink slowly as well?
On and off,
Okay.
but it's not really. She doesn't have any intention to do
Right,
to blink
okay.
on when she's blinking.
If she's able to develop the ability to blink more slowly, then we could change our detection.
Yeah.
And so if it's a slower rate of blinking, then we would allow it to trigger the treat. So that would
Right.
have a bit of difference rather
Yeah.
than always triggering a treat.
Yeah.
But that's just something that we could
Yeah.
look into.
Look at modifying that.
Yeah.
Might this be an avenue for machine learning, in which case
Yeah.
you train it to your finest
Yeah.
mode of blinking.
Yeah.
Okay, we're sort of coming
Yeah.
to the end of our question time. That was
Well,
absolutely.
I'll finish one last thing on that point, and that is, again, the bulk of the concept, terrific. And how you trigger that response, there may be times where you really have to be a little more thoughtful and customize to a particular user. You've shown us a couple of options today, and if you do have a specialty user or somebody that you really have to work with, it's primarily about sensors and being able to trigger at the right time that best suits that user. But from that point on, the rest of it carries through. So, again, as good a questions from the crew and the team as there are as your presentation, and in all of these things, we could sit here all day and build on and brainstorm and improve.